KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First, and my very first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And let's go, okay? Let's go. Welcome to the very first ever Think Tank Thursday. And the crowd goes wild. If you're a regular part of our KBLA delegation, you may know that we were requested by Kwame Allah to come up with a name for Thursday like every other day has around here. And we had a contest, gave away some knowledge packs. The winner was Jacqueline Anderson, who came up with Think Tank Thursday. So that's what it is now. It's a Think Tank Thursday. What exactly that means and how we celebrate or commemorate or differentiate that day is something we shall unpack little by little. And one of the things that I've thought, which is real basic, but also important, similar to Talking Point Tuesday, is that this is the space where we play offense, right? Talking Point Tuesday, you play defense. Because we're understanding, unpacking, undermining, sometimes completely debunking these talking points that live in our head that do not serve us. We don't even know where they come from sometimes, or sometimes they just need a little tweak. We are changing the narrative in a defensive posture by pushing back on existing talking points. On Think Tank Thursday, I feel like we should be playing offense. What is it that we want? What is it that we envision? How can we create the world we wish to live in? How can we create the scenarios that we want to leave for our children? So that's what I got so far, but we're going to talk about it today. You're invited in if you have thoughts about Think Tank Thursday. Dr. Melina Abdullah suggested we put scholars on the air. That's something we always like to do, but we can work on a special emphasis on scholarly thought on offense. What do we need to do? In other words, think about what we want, not what we don't want. To quote Sahara Ali, but in a political sense. Jerry Anderson, of course, he was our runner-up with Thirsty Thursday. We had two finalists. And he, or maybe it was Paul, who suggested that Thirsty Thursday should be the cousin of Think Tank Thursday. Not quite sure how that plays out. I guess similar to how it plays out in real life if we have a thirsty cousin. But take that one under advisement. In any case, you may or may not know that we stream on YouTube every day. And you can go to youtube.com, KBLA 1580. Is our spot on the YouTube channel lineup. And look, weigh in. The comments are always lively. We've got Jerry Anderson in there now, along with Paul Lee, Andre Parvenu, Jacqueline Anderson, and others. So please tap in if you want to join us in conversation the old-fashioned way. Hit your phone, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. You're invited in any hour, the way we do things on a Think Tank Thursday. Hour one, we look local, what's happening on the left coast, this side of town. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive on a hot topic or a person of interest. Today, we will be talking with Dr. Andrea Anthony, and she's done a pretty comprehensive work about how to protect ourselves, how to protect our children, more importantly, about how to safeguard our kids from sexual predators from the beginning of life forward. And that should be a fascinating conversation in hour three. So another jam-packed day, great day for you. And I'm very excited to continue to welcome in new people, people we've not met before, expanding our circle. One such person is joining me on the phone this morning, Executive Director of Open Arms Food Pantry and Resource Center, which is in South LA's Chesterfield Square community. They've been there since 2018. She's also worked as a rapid rehousing case manager. Personal upbringing is in Los Angeles, and she says it gave her insight into the gap in resources and the failures in our system that lead to poverty and food insecurity. Myeta Perdomo, welcome.
Thank you so much, Dominique, for allowing me to join you today. I truly am humbled, and I thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you jumping on. We like to highlight nonprofits, but always we're looking at what's going on in the headlines and trying to keep folks abreast of what's happening here in our local community. So let's start with a simple, a simple description of what you do. I mean, it sounds like it's in the name, Open Arms Food Pantry, but let's get your overview.
Absolutely. So I am Executive Director, but more than just being a director for Open Arms Food Pantry and Resource Center, I feel that I am a liaison in the community and a hands-on person that wants to find out more of the disparities that's happening in the communities that are predominantly Black and brown. I want to take all of the resources that I'm able to find out why poverty and food insecurity are happening in our communities and why we are more at risk of chronic disease, stressors, infant mortality, and also our aged neighbors not being able to put a meal on the table. Those are important factors that I am trying to help our community with and figure out ways to end those particular issues.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's tons of factors, but I have said on this show repeatedly, having lived in South LA for the past 25 years, that it seems like we've seen a huge increase in this problem. We've always had poverty, obviously. Food insecurity is the euphemistic way of saying part of the problem. But I would say within the last 10 years, for sure, the last 7, we've seen a huge jump in the number of unhoused people in South LA. Not just Skid Row, not just Santa Monica, but in South LA, everywhere. Have you noticed that?
That is correct. And I completely agree with that. When I was a case manager for rapid rehousing, I saw that there were a lot of our brothers and sisters who were experiencing food insecurity and couldn't meet their basic needs. I'm an 80s baby, and I've seen in the last 20 years there's been an uptick in just not being able to find a meal, meet your needs, and pay your rent. And part of it is because the cost of living is so high that no matter what, your average job is paying, it cannot meet those needs.
Yeah.
So then you have a lot of the aftermath is people becoming homeless more, people, couch jumping or sharing apartments or just moving out of the state. Because California is a very, very expensive state to live in.
Yeah, and it's always been pretty expensive. I think it's gotten worse, but I feel like it's always been quite expensive. I remember joking around, California, there's a cover charge. If you don't like it, go home. But when I used to say that, in the early 2000s, we did not have unhoused people living everywhere by the tens of thousands like we have now. Now it sounds harsh because I feel like it's gotten just that much more severe. And I wonder, with the work that you're doing with Open Arms Food Pantry, if we I know in the past 7 years we've seen an uptick. I wonder if we're starting to see the impacts yet of some of the cuts, the newer cuts in government services. I don't know that they've really kicked in yet all the way. These cuts in food stamps, or SNAP as it's now called, according to the big terrible bill. Many of the nonprofits, even like your own, are going to be experiencing cuts in their whatever monies they might get from the federal government, state government, because the state coffers are shrinking, partly because of federal cuts and partly because we're just having a rough couple of years. Are you feeling the pinch already, or no?
Right now, by the grace of God, we have not felt the pinch. And part of it is because I projected a long time ago that I didn't want us to depend on federal funding. We've always searched and sought out privatized foundational funding from day one. And that was because it's more secure. We didn't want the red tape. We didn't want to deal with what we're dealing with now. And unfortunately, with the federal, like you said, the federal government cuts, it's going to trickle down state level, and then it's going to go through city level, and it will affect a lot of nonprofits, and a lot of them are already feeling it.
Yeah. I mean, I wondered about that because I'm hearing from people on the street level that they're feeling it, partly because the groceries are so high, and then on top of that, the reports I've been reading that some of the food pantries are struggling to keep their pantries full.
Mm-hmm. I've heard about this, and we've been able to sustain our programming. Every month we service about 2,000 to 3,000 folks through our food pantry program, and we've been able to sustain this. And we've seen an increase dramatically right after COVID-19, and then it's been increasing gradually because of the job market being so unstable. We have so many families and individuals that when we did our survey a few months ago, they stated that they are lacking hours or have lost their job.
So underemployed or unemployed. Well, it sounds like you anticipated, sort of the ups and downs of government funding. So that's a blessing in itself. We're going to continue this conversation. 800-920-1580 if you want to get in. It's open to you always. I'm Dominique DiPrima, broadcasting live from Leimert Park, a.k.a. Africatown, USA, for KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. We're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant. How much more? Secret is the GOAT. Because nothing fights sweat better.
Stay fresher under pressure.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the voice of reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
800-920-1580. That's your road in. That's your red, black, and green carpet if you want to speak out today, any hour. 800-920-1580, or hop in the YouTubes, or you can go on any of our socials and just DM or comment under something. We're at KBLA 1580 on every platform, and you can find me at DiPrima Radio, DIPRIMA, and then radio. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Myeta Perdomo is Executive Director of Open Arms Food Pantry. She's been working on the issues of poverty and food insecurity in black and brown communities for many years now. And you're talking about, as far as goals, Myeta, you want to change the system so that we can get rid of food insecurity, and that sometimes goes across generations. I mean, are you talking about changing, things like LASA and these agencies, these public agencies that we have that are supposed to be addressing homelessness and evictions and all of that? Or are you thinking about some kind of broader change in our thinking and our understanding of what, what is a human right and what is a luxury?
Right. Dominique, I've really thought a long time about this particular issue, and it takes a lot of initiative to do both ways. So what I mean by that is that you want to work from the local level, which is through your government, changing policies, advocating to change laws, and oversee programs like LASA that failed people, and making sure that they're accountable and they're doing the job that they're supposed to. But also, it's more deeper than that. It takes also someone in the community to start within the community and to change the mindset. The generational poverty that, black and brown families experience many times are taught what they see. They have to change their behaviors, and that's what I envision in doing in our workforce program that we are hopefully launching in 2026, where we want to instill, valuable tasks and different types of workforce skills and trainings that will help them get out of poverty.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, those are worthy goals. People got to do it. I remember my friend, the late and amazing Dr. Mabel John, used to give away food from her church, from warehouses, from the back of a truck. Like, she similar to you said, well, we just have to start. We have to do something. We can't just wait for someone else or wait for government. And she used to say that we are the safety net in some sense. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely do. But it also is more than just putting beans and rice in their hands. Mm-hmm. It's being really involved and finding out what the issues are and the foundation of poverty that leads to food insecurity and all of these other factors.
Yeah.
There's a lack of education many times in certain communities that we've seen, and the statistics are online. And sometimes there is other factors, including, like I said, where they saw how their parents have done certain things and certain habits. They then, take on those habits, and it's not the best. And then it leads to poverty with their children.
Right. It sustains that poverty. I mean, I have to push back a little bit here because I know lack of education and habits that we learn over generations, or habits we don't learn, right? Like financial literacy. I know that plays a factor. Right. But there's also a whole other piece that I think we tend to play down, which is that most wealthy people in this country got wealth from their parents. Most middle-class people got middle-class status from their parents. Most people, yes, there are some so-called self-made millionaires and billionaires, but very, very, very rare. Most wealth in this country is inherited. And so I think there is a factor, and I'm not saying we should throw up our hands and say, oh, well, then I'm going to be hungry. But there is a factor of blaming the people who are under-resourced for the condition of being under-resourced, which I think is unhelpful in terms of the way we look at folks, the mindset piece, and understanding what it takes to get out of poverty. It's what makes people say dumb things like giving people reparations, they'll just spend it on Gucci, or if we do universal basic income, folks are going to squander it on drugs. When in fact, the studies that we've seen so far with things like a universal basic income, what people do is upgrade things in their lives that allow them to improve their lives, like fixing their cars, getting better clothes so that they could get a job, or getting enrichment programs for their children so the children have the opportunity to level up.
And you're absolutely right about that. When you look at your white counterparts, more than likely, like you said, they've been given the opportunity and handed down money, through the family that provides them opportunities that most of the Black and African American families do not get. They look forward to going to college because their family has saved hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes even millions of dollars for their education. Whereas an African American family or a Latino family, they have to struggle to get funding or to apply for loans or financial aid that they may or may not get.
Yeah. And speaking of, well, we only have 2 minutes here before news, traffic, and sports, but we'll continue on the other side. One thing I wasn't tracking at all, but once I started tracking it, I was just blown away by it, is how many college students are hungry. How many college students are either unhoused, living in cars, couch surfing, and or facing food insecurity.
Correct. And I think that is another space that needs to be analyzed and looked at, and it's kind of never been really talked about. I'm glad you actually brought it up because I know that many students actually go homeless. There were studies done where they found that many students experience a food insecurity, but also side by side with being homeless.
Yeah.
They're not able to make ends meet, again, because of the cost of the dorms or the cost of living in an apartment they can't afford.
Yep. And it's, I don't know how you can focus and, get your education done but people are doing it. But it just feels like you shouldn't have to. There's a report on NPR that nearly 4 million college students have experienced food insecurity, and in the state of Connecticut, 1 in 4 college students is going hungry. That's just crazy. No, 1 in 5. That's just crazy. That's 20%. That's very high number.
It's mind-boggling, because the students should be, not a part of that statistic so much, and given resources that provide, food and meals to them. That shouldn't even be a question, but we're living in a time in society where we are feeling the effects of a broken system.
Yep. We'll continue this conversation after news, traffic, and sports. Myeta Perdomo, you're invited in, folks. It's KBLA, Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Here's what's trending this hour. Washington, D.C. residents are overwhelmingly opposing President Trump's police takeover. The Washington Post released a survey on Wednesday showing 69% of participants strongly oppose the decision. Another 10% somewhat oppose, and 9% strongly approve. Trump has deployed hundreds of National Guard troops to assist in street patrols. The president has pointed to violent crime and carjackings as the reason for the takeover. I'm Bree Wood with What's Trending.
San Diego's events calendar is full of flavor. Dig into local wine and food festivals, treat the family to kid-inspired deals all October, and get a taste of glory at the Breeders' Cup World Championship. Plan your trip now at sandiego.org/awesome all year. Funded in part with City of San Diego Tourism Marketing District Assessment Funds.
Is this the tackle? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The LA Sparks got a game-winning jumper at the buzzer Thursday night from Kelsey Plum to beat the Dallas Wings 81-80. But the talk of the night and around the WNBA was Dallas rookie guard Paige Beckers. The former UConn star had a historic night with 44 points, the most ever by a WNBA rookie. She broke the previous rookie mark of 40 points set by Sparks legend Candace Parker in 2008. Beckers made 17 of 21 shots. She's the first WNBA player to shoot 80% in a game while dropping at least 40 points. 14 of Beckers' baskets were mid-range shots. That means Beckers was losing Sparks defenders with her crossover dribble, some shake and bake, and some spin moves to the basket. She put on a show for the 13,000 fans at Crypto.com. For all the Caitlin Clark folks out there, Paige Beckers is no joke. This young lady is very capable of stealing Clark's shine in the WNBA. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Fatherhood includes being present during pregnancy, delivery, and beyond, supporting your partner and advocating for your baby's health. Black fathers play a key role in reducing maternal and infant health inequalities. Join the free AIM Fatherhood Program and make a difference. Visit blackinfantsandfamilies.org/fatherhood.
You hear that? That's Mike sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. That's because Mike was smart this time. He took ZzzQuil Ultra to fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs. So now he wakes up refreshed and ready to conquer Mondays.
Let's do this Monday.
ZzzQuil Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Some things can steal your sunshine.
Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken.
Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay, things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for waking up with me and Myeta Perdomo, Executive Director of Open Arms Food Pantry and Resource Center in South Los Angeles. And, we're looking at all the things that are impacting us. It's interesting. We were talking about the federal budget, how that impacts the state budget. And now here locally, we've got our city budget in LA, which has created challenges. I guess we were down to 600 employees that were supposed to be laid off due to our budget shortfalls after some negotiation. And now I guess the LAPD had their Police Protective League has done some, math, moving around overtime hours so that they could save 300 jobs there in the LAPD. Still, it's a tough belt-tightening time for the city of Los Angeles. You've worked in rapid response. You have a food pantry. What would you tell a family or individual, especially these students we were just talking about that are going hungry? What would you tell them to do right when they start experiencing this to mitigate it?
Well, one of the things that I try to do is cross-network and find resources in other areas that I can provide to families or individuals who's experiencing this disparity, right? Again, you have families that not only are going through not, able to put a meal on the table, but also maybe not able to meet their rent for next month or find clothing for their children. And so it's important for me as a director to help in other ways and, provide resources that I know can help them navigate through all of this madness and just, what our system is going through right now. And there's going to be a whole lot of people going through this. And I just, I'm really saddened by this.
Yeah. So it sounds like what you're saying is connect with an organization like yours or another organization that can help you, not just with whatever they have going, but help you find other resources and other options for help in whether it's food or getting clothing or help with housing, which seems a lot harder to get now.
Well, we've been fortunate enough to have a partnership with KBLA, who's been, really great at updating us on the most current affordable housing that is opening in LA County and city. What we do is we provide it to our database that we have every month. And this allows people who are not able to locate this information to get it firsthand from us. They're able to apply. There's information on if they need ADA assistance or assistance with applying. They're able to get that. and other things. We have also some great partners like Molina Healthcare that's providing low cost or free service to families and individuals who cannot afford to pay for health care.
Which is a lot of folks, sadly. So,
yes.
I mean, how would people access your help?
So they can access a couple of ways. They can go through our website, openarmscharityla.org, to find out what our services are, what our current activities are going on in that month, and what we have in the future. We also provide a diaper bank service to families who have infants in home or children that need diapers and training pants, which has been an overwhelming response with that program.
Yeah, because the diapers are high, man.
They are. I cannot tell you how many parents say we've saved them from having a mental breakdown from just not being able to buy diapers. They call me. I have actually my cell phone. It's very crazy. If you Google Open Arms, my cell phone number comes up, and I try to pride myself on answering the phone to, help these families, because there's so many people that are in need, and they are being affected gradually by what we were discussing earlier with the layoffs and the cutbacks in programs, and people are starting to feel it. So I have, made it my job to answer the phone, provide them, support, mental support, and just providing them with resources that we can, or connecting them to another CBO that can help them.
A community-based organization, for those not following the acronyms.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So go to the website. Is that the best way?
Yeah. It is.
All right.
It is. Yeah.
I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. Is to a degree, that's my job. I feel like we, when we're talking about reaching African Americans specifically, who are suffering food insecurity, housing insecurity, any other number of crises, a lot of times we don't want to embarrass ourselves by asking for help. We don't show up because we're proud, or we feel some kind of shame around getting help. I've noticed this with a number of aid organizations and efforts that I've helped. And, not to disparage anyone else, but it seems like other communities have this network. They show up instantly. They get the food, the clothes, the resources, the vouchers, whatever there is to get. And for some reason, I feel like my community does not have the same kind of network, doesn't respond in the same way, and sometimes we miss out.
Dominique, your community is my community as well. I'm African American myself. I grew up in South LA, and I can identify with, the African American families not wanting to come out, the parents, the moms, the fathers not wanting to get in the line. And this is clear. I mean, we have data that shows with our clientele, 70% are Latino. The remaining are either African American or other. And we've seen a shift gradually over the last 4 months where African American families have been coming out more, due to changes, and less of the Latino families, I guess, due to the federal mandated deportation.
So people are scared to come because of ICE raids.
They are.
That's crazy. So that means they're home hungry, which is not good. But you're starting to see more African American families. What do you attribute that to?
We see that more because it's going back to, the byproduct of the layoffs. We have a lot of African Americans, that have worked, with city, sector, or certain departments that are affected, or certain, retail chains that have shut down. Every day we hear something shutting down, that provide jobs to a neighbor of ours. And unfortunately, it is starting to affect the African American community more. And, that's why, by the grace of God, we are here to support those, and continuously, provide resources to everyone.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying you shouldn't provide resources to everyone. I feel sad when I see Black people working so hard to help Black people and then Black folks not showing up, whatever the reason. And I do think a lot of times it has to do with shame, and the way, we're shamed in society already. So who, even millionaire and billionaire Black folks are shamed in society already. So who wants to put themselves in a position of shame? But I think if we need the help and the help is available, and many times it's our community, people like yourself, that are making the effort to get that help, then our community needs to take advantage of it if they're in need.
Right. I think about the old Claudine movie. I don't know if you're familiar with that movie.
I love that movie, yes.
Right. And I bring that up because if you take a look at that movie and you analyze the message within it, it shows you a family that was receiving, or a mother that was receiving welfare. She was shamed by the system, right? She was shamed by other people around her for being on welfare and having kids. So it's sort of like that's a light into the African American mind and not wanting to get in these lines and partake in free services or picking up, groceries or meals because of the stigma of the Black, person being lazy or not wanting to do, what are you not doing? Why would you get in the line? And it's sad because it's not the case.
Yeah.
We've been degraded for so long, and now we have a mindset that when the resources are available, we don't want to partake in it, and we kind of feel ashamed, to do that. And I think that's what we're experiencing.
Yeah. So things must be getting pretty serious if folks are starting to show up, which is also sad, but I hope that it would create a habit, because a lot of times we're providing these resources, whether it's through donations or taxpayer dollars or whatever, and they're benefiting everyone except us because of whatever that legacy of shame, which I don't blame that on us, but it's something we need to break free of. I think it's the same reason we buy more cologne, more bath products, more deodorant than any other community. It's like we've been told we're stinky so much that we have to compensate for a thing that's not even true to begin with. We're talking with Myeta Perdomo. You're invited in. The conversation continues inside the YouTube comment section as well. We're talking everywhere. We're talking on social media. We're talking on the mic. We're talking on YouTube. That's what we do around here. Unapologetically progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Imagine a world without heart disease and stroke, where every person has the chance to live a full and healthy life. Join us for a walk to save lives at the American Heart Association's Greater Los Angeles Heart and Stroke Walk, Saturday, September 20th at the Rose Bowl. Every step made and every dollar raised means more people learning CPR, more life-saving research, and more time with the ones we love. Sign up at heartwalkla.org. The LA Heart and Stroke Walk is sponsored by Optum, UCLA Health, Keck Medicine of USC, and Dignity Health.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
You got a big mouth. Hello, Joe, you're up. Welcome.
We're unapologetically progressive, and we don't black down.
Myeta Perdomo, Executive Director of Open Arms Food Pantry, is joining me this morning. They're at openarmscharityla.org, openarmscharityla.org. We got a heat wave on our hands hitting today, Myeta. It's supposed to be lasting through the weekend. They're saying the worst one of the year so far, triple digits even here in LA proper. What I mean by that is not the valley, not the Inland Empire, but the actual mainland LA, if you will. They're saying triple digits. The cooling centers are open. You can call 311 to find a cooling center near you. I imagine that if we're suffering from food insecurity, and I don't have to imagine, I can see with my eyes that if we're unhoused, these type of heat waves are much more problematic.
Yes. Whenever there's, an increase in heat or just changes in weather like this, it's so dramatic. It does, a lot of times drive people to needing resources or, obtaining water, which is very expensive in the stores, and just providing them with juices or things like that to cool them down. We've seen a lot of families that we service that start to request water and things like that.
Yeah, the thing about it is that the impact of heat, extreme heat, is underreported and not really understood. You can actually die from it. There's heat stroke, heat exposure, and there's a third one. These are actually diseases that come from too much heat. I know you can go to the library, you could go to a cooling center, and water is good, but it's also like fruits and vegetables that help hydrate the body. And when you're eating, whatever you can get, you might be low on fruits and vegetables. So if you're in a position to do so, please, eat some cucumbers, some lettuce, some watermelon. Those are the things that have the minerals that help that hydration to occur. Water is good, but water alone doesn't always do it.
That's correct. And, also we focus on our aged residents because many times they're in home, they don't have proper cooling fans or things like that. And so we have to, as a community, also look after our neighbors who are over the age of 50, making sure that they're hydrated and making sure that they have the necessities to keep themselves healthy and not getting, dehydrated or at risk of stroke.
Yeah. So older Americans, as we're supposed to call them, older Americans are, it's more of a problem for them, the heat.
Yes. Yes, for senior citizens, they're more at risk of having, health issues from the heat. If we're younger, we're more likely drinking water. We have access to go to the store. We're capable of going to go get a case of water. They may not be able to, get that from the store because they're not able to be mobile or pick up a heavy item. So, our job as a food pantry is also to cater to that demographic and service them and making sure that they're safe, and also informing our community to also look after, pick up a bag for your neighbor.
Yeah, it's a great point. Even some water or something, check on those neighbors. So starting today, most of California is under extreme heat warning with dangerously hot conditions just about everywhere. Unless you're on the beach, it's going to be hot from 95 to 105. And then if you go Inland Empire, we're talking over 110. That's today. Tomorrow, it's going to cool down a little over the weekend, but it's still going to be in that red flag area. The good news is no wind expected, so hopefully we won't get those fires. And if we do get fires, they will not spread the way they did in January. But here's the kicker, the twist. We could also see thunderstorms tomorrow. And I feel so terrible for folks that don't have a roof over their head when it's hot, and now it's raining, and now it's hot again. So, yeah, I think some compassion and any outreach that you can do makes a difference. We've talked about how you guys are helping folks, and people that need help can go to openarmscharityla.org. I'm sure you're taking donations from those who want to help as well.
We are always seeking donations of non-perishables. We also, of course, need water, juice, baby formula, and also Infamil. And any of those items are, welcome to be dropped off at our center. We are also looking at other items if they'd like to donate diapers or something that can support our families.
Yeah, that's really important. I'm back to Dr. Mabel John, may she rest in peace, who always said, we are the safety net. And she was chronologically gifted enough to remember the Great Depression and how Black people helped each other. We turned to each other. We didn't have anyone else to turn to. So that stuck with me, and it's, I think, a lesson that's going to be even more important for the next 3.5 years, at least 3.5 years, that we need to look at the contraction of government services and the priorities of our government agencies shifting away from helping people and shifting towards deporting people. That's where we are. We just have a couple minutes here, Myeta Perdomo. What would you like to leave us with this morning?
I just wanted to say that, it does take a community to support one another. And it takes individuals like yourself who uses your platform to, get the message out about what's going on and forming our community. And also it's being a helping hand, having an open heart, and assisting our community with the basic needs, and also working on factors that contribute, again, to poverty and hunger. We have to stay in the ears of our local government, whether it's our councilman office or, state level. We have to constantly, stay in the loop with that, and also work on improving laws and initiatives that are helping our low income families.
Yeah. Well, I think that's right. Jan Williams is in the chat saying she doesn't think it's our fault we don't get the resources other communities get. Most times the services aren't marketed to us in the same way as other communities. That may be, Jan, but I'm just talking about what I've seen. And I'm talking about, like with Dr. Mabel John, we would go day in, day out on the other Black-owned station that I worked at. And I've seen those marketing efforts when they do happen. Sometimes folks just don't want to be shamed. And the other thing is, the hood grapevine perhaps is not as strong. Other communities spread the word when there's a free something and folks come and they get it. Anyway, you're right. We can go deeper on that. We've got 30 seconds here. Remind folks how to follow you or how to help you.
So if they'd like to help or contribute, they can go again to our website, openarmscharityla.org, or they can visit our Instagram page, which is Open Arms Charity LA, if they'd like to donate.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure meeting you, and thank you for the work that you're doing. It's important now, and it seems like it's going to get more and more and more important with each passing day, sadly.
Thank you so much. And, I'm just continuing to do what I can do for the community. Me and my husband started this in 2018 together, and we're just going, fighting for our community and serving them.
Well, thanks for fighting for us. We appreciate you. We're in our very first Think Tank Thursday. We'll talk about that when we come forward. And, of course, your phone calls are welcome at 800-920-1580. Right now it's news, traffic, and sports, only right here.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Here's what's trending this hour. Washington, D.C. residents are overwhelmingly opposing President Trump's police takeover. The Washington Post released a survey on Wednesday showing 69% of participants strongly oppose the decision. Another 10% somewhat oppose, and 9% strongly approve. Trump has deployed hundreds of National Guard troops to assist in street patrols. The